And in any case, we will be going on to game 3. I am in Say/1.
Bloody Ridge.
Indeed it is. I believe this is the 3rd set map, so after this the loser will get to pick from a map pool of something like 5 or 6 maps.
I gotta say, Scan dominating it thus far, looking in much better position across the field compared to Heme.
Indeed. And of course he was kind of the favorite in this match. I do believe, well, I know Heme's TVZ is his strongest matchup, as I said in game 1, and I do think his TVT is weaker, especially compared to Scan. But in any case, going into game 3. So in the bottom left position as the blue Terran, we do have Heme, the Russian Terran beast. And in the top right corner as the teal Terran, we do have Scan, the infamous Scan, who has quite a lot of drama surrounding his round of 8 match, actually, due to a little bit of BM in the last game when he was winning against Ziki. But of course, drama does seem to follow Scan wherever he goes.
Yeah, no GG last match. I know a lot of people said they were rooting for him. I actually saw a comment in chat. They're like, now I'm rooting for Scan because of Heme's no GG there. So we'll see going in. I got to say, Heme looks like he's coming unraveled a bit. Definitely on tilt, like you were saying. That's got to be so frustrating. That was a really creative build, I have to say, to start. I didn't think it was going to pay off, but for a moment there, it looks like he's going to be able to execute and take the win. But it almost felt like from pure determination and grit, you saw Scan able to pull the match out.
Yeah, that was a really impressive defense. And Heme looks like he's going to try and wall in his natural. I'm not sure if one depot and one barracks will make an SCV-type wall. It looks like it might, actually. So he might be up to no good behind that wall in. Of course, usually you do not wall in TVT because it does become a liability later on in the game. But it does allow you to do some sneakiness without getting scouted.
Kind of the problem on this map is you really absolutely have to have map control after 2-base play, because it's so difficult on the ground to move anywhere to defend either the nearest expansion 6 o'clock with a ramp or the 9 o'clock, which is also up an individual ramp. But they're quite a ways away. Dropships can be extremely effective, can just drop all over that. So it becomes a situation of once you get that second base, how are you going to defend your additional bases? If you end up losing air control, if you're not really on the ball on your opponent's troop movements, you can end up in a lot of trouble in a hurry.
Indeed, and it looks like Scan's scouting SCV will get into Heme's base. Heme's SCV only just now leaving his base. Or wait! Oh my god! I think I was calling the players wrong just now. I think I was calling Scan Heme with this wall in. Whoopsie daisies! So Scan is actually the one doing the wall in and up to no good. My bad, guys. I just assumed it was Heme because since Scan is up 2-0, I thought Heme might try to do something cheesy, but no, Scan. Going for the wall, and let's see what he actually does here, whether or not he just plays standard behind it and just completely fakes me out. There's a second depot, nothing crazy just yet. A Marine being produced, a Marine already out for Heme. So Scan's barracks was actually a little bit later, but nothing significant. Factory actually already going down for Heme, and now just going down for Scan.
Kind of interesting because the barracks does force the Marines to be produced on the outside wall with that front door seal, and it looks like it's going to be effective at least pushing that SCV back. Thus far, we do see a 1 factory build. Let's see if we see a second factory as soon as he hits 200 minerals to go for perhaps a quick 2-factory attack, maybe all in. I think this is actually one of those scenarios where it's best to cheese when you're in a dominant position, when it can catch your opponent off guard, where you already know he's emotionally on tilt, where he's already playing sloppy. Just push in, crush, and get it accomplished. I think these are always the fantastic situations to do so. And we do see an SCV walking up, and there's the second factory.
Indeed, that's actually a very excellent point. I would also like to note that Heme this game only made 1 Marine, as did Scan, unlike in the first game where Heme actually made 3 Marines. So I think playing a little bit safer in that game, this time playing a little bit more economical, a little bit more greedy, but it will, or it should be safe. except for the fact that he's going for this expansion command center, and Scan's second factory is already halfway done. So let's see if he can catch wind of this and somehow defend it. He actually went for the vulture first from his machine shop, actually going for a second vulture. That's very interesting, delaying his machine shop by quite a bit.
Yeah, this is very dangerous play, and I'm not sure why he decided after going for a fast expansion build to follow up with a vulture. He's not going to get a lot of benefit from it. It looks like that Marine sneaking into the front door. Basically, group repair on the barracks on the front. Maybe he'll be able to kill an SCV or two. But let's assume behind this wall that you're seeing a fast expansion build. You're going to see one siege tank out in the field, and that can easily hand to the vulture. Let's assume you're seeing a 2-factory build with vultures to start. Now you're outnumbered with just pure vulture count, and the vultures are going to have spider mines to deal with any sort of follow-up troops. So either way, you're going to end in a situation where you're not really going to be able to peel it out. I think siege tanks open would have been a much better choice.
Yep. And second factory is almost halfway done for Heme. I would like to know he actually pulled a couple of guys off his gas because he was going up pretty high in the gas, but having gone for a fast expand followed by vultures, he didn't really need it. And oh man, what else was I going to say? Oh yes, I think the reason that he went for the 2 vultures first was because he actually put that expansion out at his natural instead of in his main, like defensively. I think that kind of was defending against some kind of, you know, like 3 or 4 marine plus 1 vulture push that you sometimes see. So he wanted to get out a couple of vultures, whereas if he went for a faster tank, he would have been a little bit more vulnerable to that kind of early pressure. So that might have been the reasoning behind it. But the problem is that Scan is coming in with vultures that already have mines. He's going against only 2 vultures and 1 marine. He's actually going to be able to patrol micro this down. He loses 1 vulture already. A couple of SCVs coming off to repair. It looks like they actually are going to repair this seriously damaged vulture. Heme doing a nice defense right there.
I gotta say, awesome micro from Heme right there. Really positioning perfectly so the vultures were not able to get taken out. I take back everything I said now. Heme's a genius, and this is, I guess, the problem of being a caster, is sometimes when you pull off something genius like that from Heme, doing a repair defense on vultures, it ends up paying off, and now Heme going to take a quick economic lead in game 3.
Indeed, but if we look at Scan's main, he's got like an insane SCV saturation, so once his expansion gets up, he'll be able to have fully saturated 2 base pretty much immediately, whereas if we look at Heme, his main base has got like surprisingly few SCVs. His natural seems a little bit healthier, but he's actually producing a lot of vultures here. It looks like he's going for pure vulture. I think actually both players... No, never mind. Scan has switched into tank production. Actually getting walled in by Heme's barracks there. A little manor barracks action. Heme preventing Scan from pushing forward those tanks. I think that's actually quite smart. And Heme seems to have gone for vulture speed before mines. He's actually running along the north path. I don't think Scan has any idea what happened. Actually, those north mines might have seen it. I don't know. But he's actually moving out with the tank, so I guess he hasn't. Speed vulture is going to run into Scan's main. He might be in a lot of trouble. Scan trying to take advantage of this position and siege across this cliff right here. But I don't know if it's going to work.
Oh. Vulture's cutting off reinforcements, but it looks like they're not going to be able to stop that first siege tank that's already out in position. Denying that gas really significantly, and also able to hit that command center. Vultures in that natural. Looks like the Vultures were able to clean up the siege tanks on that follow-up. But still, damage being done. It looks like that economy is being hurt. This is evening things up a little bit. Vultures swing back around, trying to do as much damage as they can, take out those vultures, and then turn around and take that siege tank in close position where they can't take damage. So nice defense from Heme, but it looks like we did see something from Scan where he was able to slow down that economy a little bit. Lost 2 siege tanks there. I still feel like he's behind economically over Heme, despite what I would call an excellent early game harass.
Indeed, if we just take a look at the food counts, it is 47 food for Heme, and actually exactly the same, 47 for Scan. Now, Heme's going off, however, Heme has the double command center, and he's going off 3 factory, actually going, making a Goliath now, but it looks like he did make a lot of vultures, but he does need to switch. Actually, Scan doing a nice wall in here. His natural knows that Heme's going for these mass vultures and doesn't want to get surrounded by spider mines, so doing a very nice little defense right here at his choke point. That's really cool to see. Meanwhile, what is he doing? Throwing up an academy. No +1 yet from his armory. And just going to try and fly that barracks onto the high ground so as not to lose it.
Oh, Vulture's diving in, going to run into that huge siege tank wall. Looks like that command center. And this is the thing, he needs to get more siege tanks out in position forward. But that map control definitely in Heme's favor. He's got those speed vultures. I wouldn't want to move out with 2 until he gets a good critical mass of siege tanks, just because those vultures can dive in underneath. They can disrupt that natural expansion, and if that natural expansion is anywhere well defended, he can maybe even scoot through to the main. I love the additional supply depot to try to, and as well as that siege tank in the way, to try to create a little bit more of a barrier barrier to prevent that. But still, and wow, a quick third already from Heme at the 9 o'clock, playing very aggressive economically. Unfortunately, that was in fact scouted.
Yeah, it's quite funny actually. Heme, I think, just right-clicked his SCV over there and actually went to the very bottom part of that base. So I think the barracks already spotted the SCV before it even started making the command center. But as you say, we'll get spotted now. Now the problem with Heme's build is that he's going to be quite a bit behind on the tank count. So if Scan decides to make a big push towards Heme's base, he's going to have to do some fancy vulture shenanigans in order to hold it off. Probably some sneak around counterattacks or something like that. Meanwhile, Scan going up to his third factory just now. And Heme actually, oh no, that's just Goliath range. I thought it was siege mode. I was like, whoa, that's super late. But no, that is Goliath range researching.
Looks like what he was expecting, what he was expecting to see from Scan was a counter drop or something to try to slow his economy down once again, so he wanted to get a higher Goliath count. Instead, it looks like Scan just dedicated. He's like, well, I got 2 factory add-ons, I might as well just go ahead and build a ton of siege tanks and press forward into this while I know my opponent does not have the siege tanks to cope with it. Here's this counterattack, which is going to be vital. Those vultures diving into the natural expansion and completely unprotected.
Nothing to defend, and just now though, Scan did do oh well, hold that thought. How many is he gonna get? Looks like a reverse transfer gonna lock those vultures. Yes, cleans it up, but suffering quite a few SCV casualties. And actually just now with Scan's main push, he did a smart thing and scanned on the top of this ridge where there were a bunch of mines, because normally you can A-move through minefields with Goliaths and tanks since they do have instant shots. However, when the mines are on the top of a ridge like this, similar in fashion to Heartbreak Ridge, since you don't get vision on the high ground, your tanks will actually just walk up the ridge, and then they'll only just see the mines when they're on top of them, so you can actually lose a lot of units like that. But Scan actually running into a siege position here, but he has a million tanks. This is exactly what I was talking about before. Scan, having switched into tanks much earlier, is going to have a huge tank count advantage over Heme. Heme needs to do a lot of damage with those vultures. Did some, but he's going to have to figure out some way to defend this push right now.
Yeah, unfortunately, just innumerable siege tanks on the front door to cope with. Looks like continued comp sets to try to clear those mines, not being fully successful in doing so. And this is the problem. I mean, he took that third so early, he's not going to have a lot of infrastructure to cope with this. It looks like one mine getting assassinated there, but he is at the very least delaying Scan a little bit, slowing him down, and perhaps that will provide him the vital time he needs to get the additional siege tanks out.
Indeed, Scan playing very, very safe, pushing slowly but surely. Doesn't want to do something silly and suicide into a sieged tank line. Actually, Heme having a nice position here. If he can hold this, will be able to defend his third base. Looks like Scan's just going to set up position on the top of this ridge, but Scan really needs to do something. Now he's sending SCVs to take his third base, but Heme's looks like it's, well, actually, those SCVs just transferred there, but it will be significantly faster than Scan's. And Scan actually might, oh my god, that vulture goes up there, but is on patrol, doesn't see the SCV, and just immediately leaves the base. Oh man, that silly vulture not doing its job.
I think this is kind of unfortunate, actually, almost said Sale instead of Scan. This is unfortunate for Scan because with that additional third base, he's going to continue to fall economically behind. This is where he actually needed to press into this before those siege tanks would come out and be able to basically break out of this with a superior count. And it looks like he's already got a pretty strong wedge along that southern line, so this northern line really isn't providing any additional defense. And then on top of that, just in case he's thinking about, well, okay, I've got that top line at least, let me expand out there. You've got a vulture patrolling to the north to at least slow that down. So really what you need to see from Scan is some sort of attack that does something to slow Heme down, and I don't see that coming.
And it looks like the vulture that was patrolling on the right side did manage to take out that SCV. Scan sending 2 more to continue constructing that command center. However, we do see that Scan taking advantage. Uh-oh, clearing up a few tanks here on the south side. Is he actually going to try and roll through this? There's a few mines in the way. Oh god, taking a huge siege tank shot, but going in with his own vultures. I was just going to say, Scan was trying to set up a nice position on the south ridge to match the one he has on the north ridge, but it looks like